Chicago, Chicago Southland, Northwest Indiana, and northern suburbs. Youth, high school, college, and adult baseball players. Get ready for some summer baseball. Games will be played every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, morning from June through July, starting at 9 a.m. Are you looking for a summer baseball team? If you're serious about your game this summer, don't sit out. Real competition and affordable. This summer team is waiting for you. Get registered today. fallbaseball.us. That's fallbaseball.us.
Well, it's time for another show. Coach been down in that vault, digging up some oldies but goodies. I'm going to take you back. I'm going to take you back with some classics. MLB classic interviews with the coach. We got a lineup scheduled for you, and we're going to lead this show off today, going back in the archives with Mark DeRosa, when he was a member of the Cleveland Indians.
Yes, I'm visiting with Mark DeRosa, Cleveland Indians.
Yeah.
Well, a little different, huh?
It's a lot different.
Well, I sure reach a young audience, and most young ball players have that ambitions of playing Major League Baseball. So you've been around with a number of teams. What has been the key to your success?
Being a coachable guy, I think, is one. Being a team player, putting my personal statistics aside, knowing they'll be there if I play to win and play as part of a cohesive team, and always felt that I was coachable and can move around the diamond and anything to get my name in the lineup, to be honest with you. I just want 4 chances to hit a ball out of the park.
Yeah. And when I see kids that have that ambitions of playing ball, Major League ball, I always tell them if you hit, they'll find some place for you to play. And it sounds like that's been your history.
That is definitely the case. I was a guy who had to work extremely hard offensively to get to the point in my career where I feel comfortable. But if you hit, they will find a position for you. And I've found myself coming up as a shortstop and have played right field, left field, and all over the diamond. So I think the options that a versatile guy brings to a coaching staff and a team allows them to play a lot more.
So what would you say to that young ball player that looks at you and idolizes you and say, Mark DeRosa is my idol?
I would say thank you very much. I don't view myself on that platform, but I like to believe I do things the right way and that I appreciate and respect the game and the people that have come before me, and I try and play the game hard.
So what's it like being out in the streets and people recognize you and all of a sudden 100 kids run up to you for your autograph?
I have no problem with the kids. It's the adults. The kids is what, I remember, myself as a young kid waiting outside Yankee Stadium trying to just get a glimpse of Don Mattingly or Dave Winfield or Ricky Henderson, whoever it may be. So
you're making me feel old now.
So it's one of those things I understand. So when the kids are around, you love interacting with them.
Yeah. I was coaching ball. I would always tell my kids, I said, y'all don't understand what it's like for Major League players. They play a night game, they fly into a city 3-4 o'clock in the morning, they get in, jet lag, and fans chasing them for autographs. You have no private life if you're a superstar. So to that youngster out there, tell them, is it really worth being a Major League player?
It's 100% worth it. Those are, obviously, when you go to certain cities, you always seem to have family members creep up and people that want to come to the game. But it's tough in some regards, in some aspects, to travel. Being away from family, being away from your kids is not always easy. But at the same time, it's a short-lived career, and not something that you can do much past 45 now. A lot of guys are playing into their 40s, so it's short-lived, and you have plenty of time to catch up.
You played for a few teams over your Major League career. How much of a transition is that to get used to new teams, new cities, new fans?
It's a big transition. As far as going into the clubhouse, I mean, I've been around the game long enough where I kind of got a feel for certain personalities and have played, whether it be on previous teams or winter league teams, with usually one or two guys from every team. So I'm pretty familiar in that arena going into a clubhouse. As far as getting to know a city and a fan base, that makes it difficult.
Well, I'm sure you get lost a lot when you leave outside the stadium.
Yeah, you better have a GPS system with you. As far as usually all I ever know is how to get to the field and where a couple restaurants are to eat.
All right, let me take you back a little bit. When you first got that call as you were coming to the big leagues, what was that feeling like? Where and when was that, first of all?
Yeah, it was in 1998. I was in playing the Carolina Mudcats in AA and was told by our AA manager that I was getting called up, and I assumed I was going to AAA. Mm-hmm. And when he told me I was going to big leagues, I really didn't believe it. I was in a state of shock, mm-hmm. and didn't sleep that night, and obviously called my parents. They didn't believe it, and I just remember it being a whirlwind of emotions. And the key for me, as I always said, you want to get there, but you want to stay.
Yeah.
And my first couple times I was on that shuttle back and forth until I could finally get a few meaningful hits that kept me around for a little longer.
So you walked in that locker room for the first time and saw your uniform hanging up. Was it butterflies?
Yeah, it was butterflies, definitely, and especially with the team I came up with, the Atlanta Braves, and their string of division titles, and Greg Maddux, Smoltz, Glavine, Chipper, Sheffield, all those guys were on that team, and a very superstar-laden team for me to come up and be a part of.
So you had to walk in there awed when you looked around.
I was in awe. I think that's sometimes what affects young players when they come up. They work their whole life and watch these guys on TV, and next thing you're getting dressed next to them in lockers, and it kind of takes you back for a minute.
So I've heard all these stories about rookie treatment. Did you get rookie treatment from those veterans?
Yeah, I got rookie treatment. I was a bellboy for some of the older veterans. I was a flight attendant on some of the plane flights. I was dressed up. I didn't care, man. I did anything.
Oh, you were there. Well, the coach visited with Mark DeRosa. All the youngsters out there, he giving you some insights of what it's like to be in the big leagues.
Continue on back down memory lane with a blast from the past. The coach, one-on-one with Matt Listrom from the Chicago White Sox.
With baseball, and we ran across the man here, Matt Listrom. And AD making his cameo again. How we doing today?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right, well, let's introduce our Chicago fans to Matt. Let them know who you are.
Well, this is my 7th year in the big leagues. Spent time with a few other organizations. I grew up in Idaho, and sometimes we had to shovel the baseball field.
I was going to ask you if they play baseball in Idaho.
Not too much, just because it's so cold all the time. So, the Chicago people can kind of relate to that a little bit. But, I mean, there were times when we didn't get on the field till May, but, we kept our time playing basketball and football and other sports too. So I just knew I was a little bit better in baseball.
Yeah. Now, I know Wise getting ready to come over here. See, I knew he was getting ready to come.
Got D-Wise.
D-Wise, yeah. Going into 7 seasons in the big leagues, and I would always tell kids the average life of a major league pitcher is 2 to 3 years. So, I mean, how do you account for your longevity?
Obviously working hard is one of the factors that allows us to be on the field all the time. But for myself, I consider myself lucky growing up in a place where people, they put a lot of stock in trying to stay healthy and eat good and stuff like that. And it's just something that I've learned over the course of my lifetime to try to stay in good shape and to work out and work hard. And this is a blessing that we get to come out here and play baseball. And the fans and the people of Chicago, they love coming out and supporting us. So it truly is a blessing.
Well, look at you coming in relief. Don't look like you dying out. Look like you're only getting better with age.
Well, I think when I first broke into the league, I threw pretty hard. And as I've gotten older, I think I've gotten a little wiser as well. I'm starting to incorporate a two-seam fastball, and that's helped me get more ground balls and stuff like that. So, you know, I think I'm maturing with age as far as my stuff out on the field, but you know, you have to work even harder in the weight room and taking care of yourself as you get older to stay on the field.
Now let's drift back to your high school days. I see you was a three-sports man?
Yes, sir, yes. Played forward in basketball and played tight end, both ways actually in football, tight end and linebacker.
So you're trying to make my audience think you was an athlete or something?
I was a pretty good athlete, but you know, I matured late. I got most of my athletic ability, it seems, as in my mid-20s rather than, you know, early on in my teens. So, you know, I was blessed in that aspect, but I really gained a strong work ethic by going on a mission trip for my church, and it allowed me to kind of be able to relate with people a little bit better and gain that better work ethic to allow me to be out here on the field all the time.
So what has this major league experience been like for you?
It's been great so far. You know, it's really not how you draw it up to switch organizations all the time, but I consider it kind of a blessing in disguise as well, just getting to know all different kinds of people, teammates, coaches, you know, managers, training staff members. So it's been a real blessing for me just to get to know so many people. And, you know, some guys spend their entire careers with just one organization, but I know all kinds of different people, and I've almost seen every city in the United States now, so it's been really cool.
And I mean, when you think about your career, what would you give in exchange for?
I don't know, man. I consider myself pretty lucky. You know, I wish sometimes I could take how I play out on the basketball court and incorporate it out on the baseball field, just because it's so different. But I mean, my first true passion was basketball, and sometimes I wish I could harness that mental focus I have playing basketball out on the baseball field, because obviously baseball is a little bit different than basketball. You go and run and jump and stuff like that. In basketball and baseball, you have to, you know, really kind of bear down and mentally focus. So
I think you're getting the rookie treatment. Everybody want to get in on you.
yeah, I think so.
I know you got to get ready. So let me ask you this one last question.
Yes, sir.
I usually ask my first interviewers, when you walked in that locker room for the first time, Major League locker room, and saw your uniform, what went through your mind?
Man, that was cool. I'll tell you what, I remember it like it was yesterday, and you know, time goes by really fast. You learn to appreciate those experiences and those memories, but it was almost surreal to me. I couldn't believe that I'd actually gotten called up and made the team out of spring training, and just seeing my name next to some of those guys like Miguel Cabrera and some other guys down in Florida was really cool. So, you know, it was a surreal experience, and just another blessing.
Coach, take your youngsters behind the scenes with the man Lindstrom. Appreciate it. All right.
Well, we continuing with a blast from the past with some of the Coach Classic interviews, and we reached back in that archive and we found one of a future Hall of Famer. Without a doubt, Matt Scherzer, when he was with the Detroit Tigers, the coach one-on-one, and this was a classic interview. You say this one for the history books.
You got the man Max Scherzer. Did I get it right?
Yep, Max Scherzer.
All right. How we doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Just fine. We're taking our youngsters behind the scenes of what it's like being a Major League Baseball player. I've always told kids the biggest and the quickest way to the big leagues is pitching.
That's one way.
So how does this thing work out for you?
You know, pitching's tough. You know, you might think it's an easy path to the big leagues, but it's really tough to get here. You know, for really pitching's the same. It looks the same no matter what level you are at. You have to throw strikes. You have to throw strikes repeatedly, and you got to keep throwing strikes. You know, one thing I had my hang on is that you know, first pitch strikes. I'm always attacking the hitters. I'm always working ahead in the counts. That I'm going to be in a 1-2 count versus a 2-1 count. When you buy into that approach, that you're relentlessly going to be ahead of the hitter, that's when you start seeing a lot of success. And then obviously you get to the next level, then you got to start using more pitches to be able to get and have that. Yeah. So, I mean, that's my philosophy on how I go about my business.
Well, you saying pitching tough, but I'm looking back and you took that hardware home now. Cy Young. Couldn't have been that tough for you anyway.
That's tough. That hardware is hard to come by. There's so many great arms in this game, and it's really fun to sit here on the bench and watch everybody else pitch, just because of what everybody else is able to accomplish. So for me to be able to take home that award, I'm so humble and blessed because I know how so many great arms are in this league.
How much of an honor was it for you?
Oh, so much. Then you do something like that where you're able to win a Cy Young, and first and foremost, I got to thank my teammates. I was 21-3, a lot of reasons because of them.
21-3. Okay, go ahead, brag a little bit.
21-3. I'm telling you, that was my personal record, but that was because of my teammates. And then, they fought every day I came to the yard, and they played so hard behind me and played such great defense that I really got to give them a ton of credit for what they were able to do. I just went out there and did my job, and we were able to have a great season together, and I was able to take home some hardware. So by winning that what it meant to me is, there's a part of history, and you look back at the history of game of arms that won that award. You're talking Sandy Koufax. You're talking some of these greatest players that have ever played the game, and it's real humbling to win an award that's what some of those guys achieved.
So that puts you in that elite club, huh?
I mean, to have my name mentioned among some of the greats today, and and obviously with some of the others who have won the Cy Young Award. It's such an honor to me. I'm so humbled by it. It hasn't changed me one bit because I go out there and do the same thing, but man, is it awesome.
Well, so I'm going to stop this interview and get your autograph. I'm hanging out with the big shot. So, man, when I coached high school and college baseball, I always emphasize in my pitchers there's a difference in a pitcher and a pitcher. I mean,
yes.
You go out there and just take control of a ball game, or let me rephrase that. A pitcher is somebody, as a coach, you sit on the bench and you sweat bricks and hope you win the ball game. Mm-hmm. A pitcher is somebody you put on the mound and you're going to be in the ball game no matter what.
Yeah, I think a thrower versus a pitcher. That's somebody who throws just, they don't have an idea, they don't have a plan. They can really maybe only throw a fastball. A pitcher is somebody who can, pitch with multiple pitches, can change speeds, can do things differently, can locate, can put the ball in the zone when they need to, and it can also put the ball out of the zone when they need to, especially in, 2-strike counts. So, there's so much, pitching's an art. Yeah. And that's when you see pitching at its greatest, when you see somebody who can really paint art out there.
And you got to have that mindset, a different mindset from a high school pitcher to a college pitcher to a professional pitcher. I mean, how did you develop yourself into those different stages?
Really the mindset's always been the same, and that's always been a high adrenaline. I've always been a high adrenaline pitcher. I'm always carrying that energy around and wanting to be aggressive, and it was just refining it and knowing what I need to refine it towards and what I need to be focusing on so that I can pitch my best. And that's the refinement from the high school to the college to the minors to the pros. Is just refining on what I need to focus on and what my game plan needs to be every time I go out there. So, for me, that's the things that I've learned over the years.
All right, let me ask you these last two questions. I don't want to hold you too long. When you think about this game and the steps that you had to get to this game, what would you give in exchange for this opportunity?
What would you
give in exchange for this opportunity to be a professional baseball?
Oh man, this is the greatest job in the world. This is my dream. This is absolutely my dream. Even when I was a little kid, I said I want to grow up and be a pitcher in the major leagues. I want to play. Actually, I wanted to be shortstop. I loved Ozzie Smith. I wanted to be.
You wanted to hit. That's what it was.
I grew up. I loved Ozzie Smith. He was my favorite player, so I wanted to be like Ozzie. That was my dream. But I guess I'll have to settle for this pitching gig that I got going on, where I get to go out and face the best teams in the league.
And win 20 games, 20 plus games.
Win 20 games, yes. That's a major feat, and I can only do that here in Detroit.
All right, let me take you back to that very first time you walked in the locker room and saw your uniform hanging up after you got the call. What was that feeling like?
Oh, there's just absolutely nothing like it. It was in San Diego.
You remember the date and time, huh?
I think it was around April 25th. So we're really close to my 7th year birthday in the Bigs.
Okay.
And I remember I flew in that morning. We had I think it was a Saturday because we had like a 4 o'clock game. and I got to the park, and there it is. And you see my jersey, number 39. You know, with there, I was a Diamondback at that point. You know, 39 jersey on the back right there. And my first game I got to watch, I was a Brandon Webb versus Jake Peavy.
You remember it all.
They finished 1-2 in the Cy Young. I always say that's one of my best pitching matchups I've ever seen in the big leagues. My first day. So I mean, I couldn't have asked for anything more.
Did you pitch yourself?
I didn't pitch in that first game. I debuted a few days later.
Coach said you youngsters behind the scenes with the man, Max Scherzer. Did I get it right?
Max
Coach
Scherzer,
Good.
there we go.
Coach Good at butcher names. Y'all know that. All right, appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you. That's good.
Well, next up with MLB Classic interviews with the coach, we got a youngster here that I knew when he was in high school, following him on through college and through his route through the big leagues, and a Chicago native, Curtis Granderson, when he was a member of the Detroit Tigers.
Yes, I'm visiting with Curtis Granderson, outfielder for the Detroit Tigers. Curtis, welcome back to Chicago.
Thanks. You know, always good to be back.
Well, we're winding down the end of the Major League season, and before the season started, the Tigers and Cleveland was picked as the preseason favorites, and it's been a disappointing season. How do you account for that?
Well, that's part of baseball. It's amazing that so many people make a prediction in February when no teams have played any games. A lot of things have to go right throughout the course of the season. Injuries, playing well, getting big wins, getting hot at the right time. And a lot of that stuff didn't happen for us, but so far it's happening well for the White Sox and also the Twins in our division.
And you've been in the big leagues a couple of years now, and for that youngster out there, and I sure reach a young audience, for that youngster out there, what are some of the pressures of being a Major League ball player?
It's interesting. You got to continue to understand what your goals are, what your drive is. Even though you're starting to get up there and get a taste of it, it's a taste. You definitely aren't there yet. In order to make this a career, you got to work even harder now to stay. You got to keep it fun, because you got 40,000 people either cheering you or booing you, which is supposed to be fun, but can be a little difficult at times. Your family and friends from all over, not realizing that this is work for you. It is a game, but you have to perform out there, and you get compensated accordingly based off your performance. And if you don't perform well, you no longer have a job. But keep it as fun as possible. That's the big thing I can say to the youngsters all coming up.
You know, I always tell kids they don't understand the gruel of being a Major League ball player. They don't know what it's like to get into a city at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and got to play that same day. How tough is that?
It's one of those things where you just got to go ahead and suck it up. Somehow, some way, you realize that no matter how tired I am, I got 3 hours I got to go ahead and put in work on that field for 9 innings. Then after that, I can get as much rest as I want, at least for that night, unless we're jumping back on another plane. So for me, I sleep on planes, I sleep on the bus ride, I sleep whenever I get a chance to. Make sure I continue to eat, get my workouts done, so hopefully each day isn't any more tiring than it was the day before.
You know, I knew you when you was in high school. So how does it feel to be a Chicago kid coming back to Chicago playing against the White Sox?
You know what, I enjoy it. It's great to get a chance to come to the stadium where I used to watch a lot of games. Got a chance to get on the field for different recognition for all-star games and all-star teams and whatnot. But to come here and play in front of my friends, in front of my family, but against the home team is always fun. I think that mixed element of all that makes it exciting every time we get a chance to come back here and play.
You know, playing in the big leagues is all about opportunity. When would you say that you got your break to get to this level?
It was amazing. I'd probably say in the 2006 season. I made the team out of spring training, and I got a chance to experience making the playoffs, making it to the World Series, getting my feet wet, and then hopefully putting myself in a position to go ahead and play this game for a long time to come. But 2004 was a great time for me. Got my first Major League hit here in Chicago. Got a very small taste. 2005, a little bit more. And then again, 2006 was the big pie of it right there.
And just this last question, because I know you got to get ready for the game if we play with the rain coming down. You know, in the big leagues, a lot of things are going in the locker room that most of the fans don't know about. Today, youngsters out there, what's your most memorable experience in the locker room?
I think one of the best things that you get a chance to do is one of our rookie initiations, and I'd rather get initiated the way I did here, even though it's one of the most embarrassing stories, but I'd rather have it happen here like it did versus any other job in the world. And what ended up happening was the day after a road trip. or the day before a road trip, we normally wear a suit and tie. Well, my suit and tie was gone, and I had a Pocahontas outfit, which was very small, and I had to wear that. Not only did I have to wear it, but we flew to the next city. They dropped us off about 10 blocks from the hotel and made us walk to the hotel wearing the outfit. So, of course, we got made fun of, but I got made fun of to get a chance to go play that night on a Major League Baseball team. So I got no problem with it. I'll do it again.
Life on the road with Curtis Grant said with the coach, Mayden.
Right. Well, once again, the coach is on the stroll. He's on the stroll going back down memory lane. I've been in my vault, and I'm digging up those oldies but goodies. And next up on the list to close it out is Hanley Ramirez from the Boston Red Sox and the coach, 101 MLB Classic Interviews.
Back to talk to me with the coach, Mayden, as we're on the road. Once again, taking youngsters behind the scenes with Major League Baseball. And we got one of the stars of the game here, Hanley Ramirez. Did I pronounce it right?
Yeah, Hanley.
Hanley, okay,
Yeah.
Well, you know, the coach good at butcher names.
You're good, you're good.
So, I mean, what is it like being a Major League ball?
It's unbelievable, man. It's something that you always dreaming when you was a little kid, you know, in school, you know. You're like, I just want to play in the big league, you know, but once you're here, man, you want to keep going because you want to keep being the best player in the game. If you know how you want to be one of the best players in the game.
Well, look like you made yourself one of the best players in the game, too.
Yeah, thanks God, you know, it take a lot of work, man, and a lot of dedication, you know, and a lot of patience for the game.
Every kid dreams of playing in the big leagues, and I tell them that you got to eat, drink, and sleep this game if you want to play in the big leagues. And what would you say to that?
Definitely, you gotta sleep, you gotta eat, you know, and you gotta get your rest, man. And if you really want to in the big league, you gotta, you know, it's a lot of focuses and a lot of hard work and dedication, and a lot of dedication every day. You know where you want to be, keep, you know, going the right direction every day.
So what did it all begin to take form for Hanley?
I mean, I've been playing baseball since I was 4 years old. I think I born with that in my blood, you know. That's what we do in Dominican, you know. And nobody else in my family played baseball. Nobody.
So you was the man, in other words.
It's unbelievable, you know. I'm the only one that I always had that in my blood for the baseball, you know. Like, I love baseball. And my dad was like, what is baseball? You know, like, no. And, you know, I keep playing with a guy bigger than me in the neighborhood, you know. And it's how I got better.
So, you know, you had longevity in this game now. You got 10, 12 years in this game.
Yeah, man. I got 10 years in the big league now. Time's go quick, you know, and that's why every day you don't take nothing for granted. You go out there and keep playing hard. When you're a little kid, man, going to the field every day, you know, and keep getting better.
So who were some of the guys that mentored you along the way?
This guy over here, you know, David Ortiz.
You picked a good one now.
Yeah, a.k.a. Big Papi. You know, he's unbelievable, man.
And, you know, I was doing a little research on you. You know, you've been around in the big leagues for number of years. You've been MVP, Rookie of the Year, All-Star game, Home Run Derby winner. I mean, what else you gonna do?
I just need a ring, you know. I just want to win, man. That ring right here on my finger, you know. Go to the White House. All right, my man.
Wait a minute, you gonna take a selfie at the White House?
Oh, no, I can't do it. That's Papi thing, you know. But I want to say one more thing, man, to all those kids out there, man. Keep grinding every day, keep getting better, and listen to your parents.
Coach with the man. All right, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Girls Softball League. Welcome, Chicago, Southland, and Northwest Indiana. We are excited to have you join us for a season of growth, competition, teamwork, and development. Our league is designed for grade school through high school players who are committed to improving their skills and representing the game with character and sportsmanship. Our mission is to provide a structured, competitive, and empowering softball environment where athletes grow both on and off the field. We emphasize skill development, confidence building, leadership, discipline, teamwork, sportsmanship. Summer League 8 weeks, June through July. Day games begin at 10 a.m. Fall League, September through November, Saturdays only. Registration at girlssoftball.us. That's girlssoftball.us